What's going on, y'all? I don't know. Me, it's your boy, one physical therapist assistant. Oh, man, it is Friday, y'all. A Friday with the Legends of America. It's always fun on a Friday with the Legends of America. I saw one of my legends walking the hall today. She's in her late 90s. I know, late 90s. Oh, I ain't supposed to be getting on her, right? I was getting on her about her posture. She always walks the halls. And she was looking a little slumped today. So I stopped her in the hallway. I said, where you going? She said, you know me, taking my walk. So my girl, I always stop and holler at when I see her walk the hallways. No need to be on therapy. You know why? Because she's always on the move. She's always getting up, getting out of that bed, getting going. That's what I'm telling y'all. Y'all just got to stay moving. You just got to stay moving. You ain't got to do a bunch of crazy exercises like y'all see all over Instagram and TikTok. You ain't got to be lifting those heavy weights and all that crap. This is coming from a therapist. You just got to stay moving. All right? Just stay moving. My girl's in her late 90s just moving, but she looked a little slumped today while she was walking. So I stopped her. So I said, what are you doing, Mom? You got to stand up straight. She's a little slumped over. She's like, I know, but I can't. I was like, what do you mean you can't? You got to get that posture right. She was like, what did she say? She said, it's too many years on his back. That's my girl, man. I love her to death. It's too many years on his back. I just bust out laughing. I didn't have no rebuttal. I said, well, you just carry on. You just carry on. Oh, man. Hey, I had a lady today ask me, am I a thespian? I said, what? I've heard of this term before, but I don't know exactly what it means. I think it's like something along the lines of like a theater performer, like you act in plays. That's how I took it. I said, what do you mean? She's like, you just come across as a thespian. I'm working with her in therapy. I think we use great practice going up and down the steps, and I'm encouraging her to do it the right way. It's a special technique when you know you got a bad leg. You go up with your strong leg first and come down with your weaker leg first. But she said, she just stopped me while she was sitting before we went up the steps. She was like, are you a thespian? I said, what? I said, why you ask me that? She says, you have good presence, whatever that means. Good presence. And she said, the way I talk, I don't know. Maybe I should consider being a thespian. I said, you think I'd be good at it? She said, oh, you'd be great at it. I said, okay, ma'am, I'm going to remember that. I'm going to tell my friends. I said, I'm going to tell my wife. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell my wife. Somebody said I should be a thespian. I might consider it as my second career. I'm going to go be a thespian. Anyway, y'all, a lot of good experiences with the Hall of Famers today. A lot of really good experiences with the Hall of Famers today. I saw, one of the things I don't talk about a lot on this channel is when the short-term people discharge, meaning let's say you've been there for a few weeks or maybe, even up to a month, maybe a little longer, and you were there for short-term rehab. Well, in a month, we develop relationships with these people. In a month, you work with somebody for a month, almost every day. You get to know them on a very, very personal level. Like I told y'all, we become a lot to these people outside of therapy, man. We become psychiatrists, we become friends, we become really, really close. So in a month, you really get to know somebody. So when somebody discharges to go home, you're happy for them, especially if it's somebody that's cool. You're happy for them, but in the same token, you're a little sad to see them go, but you wish them all the best. I had one of my buddies leave today, man. I told him, I said, I learned a lot from you, bro. I learned a lot from you, brother. The older guy. And I even told him, I said, bro, you know what? You are going in the book. He was like, oh, really? I always tell my patients sometimes I'm thinking about writing a book about my experiences working in therapy. And I told him, I said, you are going in the book, sir. So he was excited to hear that. Hey, y'all gotta get some gas real quick, so I'll be right back. All right. Hey, look, y'all, I got a little sidebar about pets. Do y'all have any pets? Okay, do you have any pets? Cats, dogs? You're an animal lover? I'm an animal lover. I have a dog, a beautiful little dog. It's a pit bull. Love her to death. Really good dog. However, me and my coworkers, man, this morning, we were talking about the interesting thing going on with pets. One of my coworkers had to take her pet to the vet. And she said the bill was like $600 for, I don't know, some heartworm medication, some little stuff. And then I started telling her the story about how I had to get, you know how dogs can sometimes develop those little fatty tumors on their bodies, on their legs. Not really a big problem, but they just they just don't look good. I got one removed on my dog, right? $1,200. $1,200 to have it surgically removed from her leg. But the funny thing about pets, I don't know where you're from. I was born and raised in Baltimore City. I grew up with pets throughout my whole childhood. My mom loves cats. She had a cat, a new cat, a cat my whole entire childhood. Whether it was a different cat, she always had a cat in the house. Stay with me. She always had a cat in the house from my whole entire childhood. You know, I can never, ever remember a time where she took the cat to the vet. Hey, y'all know some of y'all around the same age as me. Let me know. Do y'all remember y'all parents taking y'all pets to the vet? Did they go get checkups and get heartworm medicine and shots and surgeries and things like that? I don't remember my mother taking one of her pets, one of her cats to the vet. And now I'm older and I'm taking my dog back and forth to the vet and it's costing thousands of dollars. And I'm like, what? Why do we do that? That's the same thing my coworker was saying. She's like, her parents never took their dogs to the vet. They just lived and died. They just lived, enjoyed their time and died. She said she said her stepmother and stepfather never take that pet to the vet, and they don't care what's wrong with them. She said they seen a couple problems. They be like, okay, they'll be all right. You know, they kind of like they kind of like take the thinking that, okay, so you're my pet. I provide you food, shelter, a nice place to live, companionship. Like that's good. You're good with that. I don't need to take you to no doctor and get shots and get medicine. And you know what? I'm not in complete disagreement with that. My dog lives a good life. Why do I need to go to the vet and pay $1,200 to get bumps taken off of her legs? Let me know what y'all think about that. Do y'all take y'all pets to the vet? Are y'all tired of these astronomical vet bills? And did your parents and grandparents make a bunch of trips to the veterinarian to take care of their pets? I don't think they did back in the day. They getting us, y'all. They getting us. It's all a game. But anyway, y'all, today's video, I'm sorry about all the sidebars. Today's video, oh, pets. Today's video is another therapist's number one rule. The last video I made, I talked about a therapist's number one rule about being good to your kids. I think I've summed up the majority of how that therapist thinks, and I understand so many dynamics, so many different aspects of it. So you can't like really discuss it in one video. But today I want to give you another therapist's number one rule. This one, trust me when I talk about this. There's so many layers to this. A video on it can't even do it justice. However, I'm just going to talk about what I think the therapist is thinking when she came up with her number one rule. And her number one rule that she thinks about when getting older, that she sees from the older adults that she's been working with for the past few years. I think she's maybe been in the game maybe 3 or 4 years, early 20s. So she's Gen Z. Good therapist, puts a lot of effort into her work, cares a lot, hard worker, you know? And all of that talk about Gen Z not being hard workers, nah, man. I know a lot of good Gen Z hard workers, and she's one of them. But her number one rule that she sees from the older population, that she says she's going to abide by as she gets older, is not to be miserable. Number one rule, her number one rule, don't be miserable. And I don't think, I'm gonna give her credit, and I'm gonna say I don't think she really thought it through. It was like a casual conversation. She just came up with it on the fly. But that was her rule. Don't be miserable. Now, why would she say something like that? Well, to be honest with you, I'll be completely upfront and honest with you. We see a lot of miserable people. We meet a lot of miserable people. Now, why they're miserable? There's absolutely no way we can discern and chew and tear away all of the layers of their lives, of their childhood, of their trauma, of their experiences to determine why they're miserable. That's the last thing we can do, is say why a person's miserable. Many might think they can just point to a reason, but you have no idea what a person's gone through, what they've been through, to put them in a state when you meet them, they are just mad at the world. They are just, depressed, heavily medicated because of that, and going through a lot, and just are grumpy. You feel what I'm saying? Now, the therapist, I've seen her have a few miserable people that don't really want to do nothing, don't really want to get out of bed, don't really, care about themselves. They don't care about their personal hygiene. They, want people to do things for them. They don't care how they talk to people. They're very disrespectful. Unfortunately, we have to try our best to help those people as well, and we get a lot of them. Which is unfortunate, but like I said, you don't know what they've been through. We don't know what they've been through. All right? I'll just give you a few examples. We work with a lot of military veterans. All right? You can't imagine what a military veteran has been through, what they've seen. We work with a lot of Vietnam veterans. You can't fathom some of the things that they've been through and seen. My father is one. He's told me some stories that I can't fathom, that I'm not gonna say I don't believe him, but let's just say very traumatic stories of war. Okay? So if we meet you, I don't know, 50 years later, and you are, a little grumpy, I'm not going to say I can understand why. I'm going to say, there's a lot that you've been through and seen that will contribute to your personality and attitude now. But unfortunately, to a 23-year-old or a 24-year-old, that might come across as being miserable, right? I'll give you an example. I had a 90, I don't know, this is years back, had a 90, I don't know, maybe 96-year-old. This is a true story. I swear it is. 96-year-old, actually doing good physically. 96-year-old. In a nursing home. She's lost her mother in the same nursing home. Lost a daughter in the same nursing home. Yes, the daughter was in the nursing home. Lost her daughter, and all 3 of her other children have also passed away. So 4 children, one of them passed away in the nursing home while she was in the nursing home doing good, and lost 3 other children. All of her children have passed away. Husband passed. I believe sister was in the nursing home around the corner, passed. You think that woman later on in life deserves to come across as miserable? You think? If like a 20-something-year-old meets you and you don't want to do nothing, you're mad, you grumpy, you look at that person as being miserable, or do you understand? You understand why a person can be, in a depressed state, and it might come across as being quote unquote miserable. When you come off of bad drug use, going through withdrawal, and you mad and you're cussing people out, and you don't want to do nothing, you're mad that you can't get what you want, Could that come across as being miserable? Of course it can. like I said, there's so many layers to a person's past, a person's personality, a person's history, that when it presents to a 20-something-year-old, they might consider, oh, that they just miserable. They don't like life. They don't like their life. A person's children may not be speaking to them. A person might be going through some family issues. So I can see how that can come across as being miserable to a therapist who have just met you. Now, I think within time, that therapist having more experience, I think she might, have a little bit more understanding of why a person, is how they are. But yes, some people, a lot of them do come across as being miserable. So what do you take from that? What does she take from that? Like I said, that's her number one rule. Don't be miserable. So of course she's going to try her best to be optimistic, be a happy person, try to, even when she gets frustrated and upset, try to, look at the positive. There's lots of different sayings, any day above ground is a good day. I was just talking to a guy in therapy who was scared of falling at home if he goes home. And he quoted a quote from, I don't know if it was FDR. I don't know who said there's nothing really to fear except fear itself. Like, we always get scared of we're really scared of the anticipation of something bad happens. That's where the real fear is. The fear comes in the anticipation of the bad thing happening, but not necessarily the actual thing happening. You feel what I'm saying? So that's one way to look at it. It's nothing to fear but fear itself. A lot of people come across, as quote unquote being miserable because they're fearful. A person might have had 10 falls at home. You think that person is fearful of falling if they've had 10 falls? Fearful of falling? Yeah, you're fearful of falling. You've smacked that floor. You've smacked that tub. You've smacked that bathroom floor, that kitchen floor. You've smacked it 10 times recently. You think you're going to be scared? And you think that fear might come across as quote unquote being miserable? Yep. I've seen that person. I've met a few of those, multiple falls. One might have ended up in a broken hip. You think they might be quote unquote miserable? Yeah. When they have no, I'm not gonna say nothing to look forward to, but all of their efforts have come up short. I've met the person that has tried the therapy thing 7 times. What do I mean by the therapy thing? I mean by in and out of rehab for therapy to try to get themselves back to a place where they can be independent, a place where they can quote unquote go home and be themselves and thrive and flourish. And on the 8th time in a new facility, you think when I meet them, they might come across as miserable? Of course they might. So you don't know what a person is going through. You feel me? You never know what a person's going through, what they have been through. But like I said, to a young person that could come across as being miserable, and I'm not saying there aren't some just straight up miserable people out there. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sometimes you got to chew back those layers. Sometimes you got to, try to understand a person's history to see where they're coming from. And then maybe you can help them from there. But some people you can't do nothing for them. They just always miserable. Yes. And I think those are a lot of the people that she's talking about. So we see it, people who come across as being miserable. Yes, we see it. So what can you do? What can she do? What can I do? What can we do to avoid being miserable in the late stages of life? Well, like I said, love your loved ones, love on them, love on your loved ones. Try your best. I truly believe, I always tell y'all to help people. I truly believe that helps with your own happiness, helping people. Because it makes you feel good when you help somebody. You feel what I'm saying? It makes you feel good when you help somebody and you see that you've helped someone and they benefit from the help you've given them. Definitely makes you feel good. So don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. The people out there that, have given up on people, I'm going to caution against that. Ooh, I'm talking to a few of y'all. I remember somebody in the comments, one of my videos, that says they giving up on humanity. They don't trust people. They don't like people. I've even seen videos on YouTube. This is interesting. Hear me out on this. I've seen videos on YouTube from like the title of the video be, I'm 50 years old and I don't like people anymore. Or I'm 40 years old and I don't like to be around people anymore. I don't trust people anymore. Or I like to stay by myself. I don't like to go outside anymore. I don't like to be around people anymore. And when you see these videos will have lots of views. And if you go down, I've checked them just to see what the video is about. And go down to the comments and you'll see so many people agreeing. I don't like people anymore either. You even see the t-shirts. I like animals more than people. I've seen a few t-shirts like that. I don't like humans, I only like animals. And you'll go down, like I said, you'll go down in the comments of these videos and I don't like to be around people. I just want to be around my pets or my plants. I'm going to caution against that type of thinking. Okay? This is one physical therapist assistant. I'm a caution against that type of thinking. I understand where that thinking can come from, but I'm a caution against it. You know why I'm a caution against it? Because I am one of the people that you might meet when you're 90, oh, not me, but when you're 80, 90 years old, you might meet a 25-year-old that has to help you. Is that you're going to need their help. And I'm talking about on a personal level. They're going to need to help you. And that 25-year-old at 90 years old, that 25-year-old might become one of your closest friends you've ever had in your life. Yes, I said that. You think you ain't going to make no new friends? No, are you on that no new friends stuff? you don't believe in making new friends? No. I've seen 25-year-olds become 80-year-olds close friends. I've seen 90-year-olds, adopt 30-year-olds as their grandchildren. Oh, that's my grandbaby. I love her. I love him. He helped me so much. So if you're giving up on people, you might want to pump the brakes on that, because to be honest with you, you're going to need people at some point. All right? You're going to need people. We need each other, man. It's not what it's about. It's about people. It is. Okay, what you say. It's about people. I'm telling you, that type of thinking might lead to a miserable life. Don't trust people, don't like being around people anymore. Don't trust humanity. That type of thinking might lead to a miserable life if you keep up with that. You feel what I'm saying? And the funny thing about these videos, this is the really this is the really funny part about a video like that. So you talk to a camera and you make a video like that. You don't like people. However, who do you expect to watch that video? Oh, aliens? Dogs? You expect the dogs to watch and care about your video if you make a video like that? Not hating on people who make these videos. I'm just saying I understand why a person will make a video like that, but you making a video and putting something like that out there because you want people to watch it and support your video. You want their engagement. You want to read their comments of what they have to say. You want them to agree with you. Yes, I hate people. We hate people. And all of a sudden, 100,000 people have watched this video about not liking people, and they're all cheering in agreements about not liking people, but they're a bunch of people who are communicating with other people. I just find that interesting. Hear me out. There's close to 9 billion people in the world, okay? There's close to 9 billion people in the world. If you have been wronged, or if you have been slighted, or if you have been disrespected, or if you have been, done wrong by, I'm gonna give you a big number. If you have been wronged by a good 100, I would say don't give up on the rest of the billions. You've been wronged by 100. It's probably more like 13. You feel what I'm saying? If 13 have done you wrong in your life, don't give up on the rest of the billion. All right? You might not meet your closest friend till you're 83 years old. You feel me? You might not meet your closest friend you've ever had in your life till you're 83 years old. Don't give up on humanity. Don't give up on people. There are a lot of good ones out there, even though there's a few that have done you wrong. Okay? Hear me when I say that. Because I'm the person that helps the 90-something-year-old late in the late stages of life and becomes close to them and really helps them. I'm talking really help you. Help you on a personal level like no one has ever helped you before since you were a baby. Do you feel what I'm saying? But you just met me and I'm helping you like you were a baby. And I might need that help when I get older. Hopefully if I get older. So don't give up on people. So if you have that type of thinking, that might contribute to a miserable future. I want you to have a happy future. Be optimistic. Optimistic. Whew. And these phones and these social media, I think, yes, that is contributing to us taking more of a stance like that. I don't like people's stance. But that's going to lead to the misery. That's going to lead to the misery. All right? Because it's totally different through a screen as opposed to in person. All right? You don't like me. If y'all are looking at this video and you disagree with what I say, you don't like me. You meet me in person, I might be one of the coolest people you ever met. I can guarantee you that, because I'm a cool dude. I'm a thespian. Oh, man. But anyway, y'all, I understand what my therapist is saying. You know, that's one of her goals, not to be a miserable person, not to be miserable when she gets older. That's what she takes from working with the older generation. I think it gets deeper than that. I think it's more to it than that. But shout out to all of the pleasant people that we meet, because the same way I talked about some of the people, the military vets, the people who've had multiple falls, the people who've lost a lot of family members, the people who, you know, may have had a bad situation, may have been a victim of abuse, any type of abuse. May some of them come across as miserable later on in life, of course, but also we've met versions of them that come across as some of the nicest people you've ever met. You feel me? Some of the most kindest, humblest people that you've ever met. No, I've met former prostitutes from the Great Depression. Yes, I said that. Former prostitutes that, you know, were alive during the Great Depression. And I'm not gonna say had to do what they had to do, but that was a tough time, very tough time. I don't think any of y'all are ready for what they had to go through. From the stories I hear, I don't think anybody is ready for the stuff that they had to go through during that time. And I had a patient who, you know, was a prostitute because her family, or she couldn't afford anything, so she had to do that. She said she had to do that. And yes, she told me that story. We get to know these people on a very, very personal level. Very personal level. So anyway, y'all, it's your boy, one physical therapist assistant. That is my therapist colleague's number one rule: not to be a miserable person when she gets older. Number one rule for aging. So take from that what you will. Try to be positive. You know, don't be grumpy. Don't be a hater. Don't give up on people. Oh, man. Respect y'all elders, y'all. Respect them, man. Learn from them all the time. Learn from them. Whenever you come in contact with one, they're special. Oh, man. All right, y'all be safe. Make sure you enjoy your weekend. I'm going to take a few days off and chill with the queen. And I will holler at y'all in the next video.
My love is on your doorstep. Can you lift the other way? 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 Can you lift the ot Can you lift the other way? call. And no matter who I was, I'm not the same now as I was before. In my heart and in my soul,